Audio. We're in business. Let's see who jumps on. I'm only going to come on here for a short time. And I'm going to be looking at other screens, but if you happen to join us, feel free to throw out whatever you like, and I'll take a look. I'll take a look every few minutes at the questions, or every whatever minute or so. Five people on. Word is spreading. 6. All right. For those of you who subscribe to the YouTube channel, thank you. I want to do more of these. I've done one or two really randomly, like on a Sunday night, and we didn't have a ton of people on, but it was really active. We recorded it, and I think it had a lot of really good information. So let's see if we can get this number up to 20 or 30. But for those of you that are on, feel free. In the live chat, we can talk about anything you like. Let me see if I can pull this up on the actual YouTube page instead of just the studio. Hopefully I'm not missing anything. Okay. Okay, could one of you just write something in the chat? Anything? Just to make sure. Oh, there it is. Ken, thank you. Yeah, Ken, I put that. Did you just see the video I put out? Are you a premium member? If you're a premium member, you saw it in June when the stock was very cheap. And we've already had a rocket. We've quadrupled our money in 4 months. But that information with what I just sent out to the free world, which I thought I did, that's valuable color, because people don't really get the significance unless you start to hear it framed from Dave Matheson. And so, yeah, this is going to be an interesting process for them. And, I'll bet on Dave any day of the week in Nevada for the Carlin trend. He is the man, and he is seeing things that he likes. I'll have them on again after we get more drill results out. But they did a little video. You can see it on the website, Paul and Dave, with commentary. And even in the press release with the gold quarry analogy. Does he know for sure after one hole? No, we don't know how big it is. But if the rocks are the same and it's 13 miles away, there's a lot of potential there. You're talking about a 25 million ounce deposit, and I believe it's 10 grams that they mine there. So it's crazy. It's crazy stuff if it hits. Hey, Gary, how are you? Good day. Excuse me while I pop back and forth with screens, but if you have any questions, I'll be back in a second and address those, or comments, whatever you like. The premium members, Ken, you saw the video about, oh no, I didn't send it to anybody, I don't think. It's on the YouTube. So if any of you want to look at the YouTube public channel, it's what the hell do crypto Bitcoiners know about gold anyways? Okay, I did send that out this morning. Okay, I thought I did, but then it came up where it wasn't, it was saved again. What do you guys think about Bitcoin? Because you're all on board with gold, correct? Already? Now I'm going to take it to the Bitcoiners about gold, because I've been, trying to share what I've experienced and the knowledge that I've gotten from putting in many, many hours learning about crypto, learning about blockchain over the last few years. And I really have been trying to push, especially with elites and, more so with elites and premium members. But I've told everybody with the e-letter, it's been consistent at very, good times, I think, that, you got to own some. You got to own some. If you don't understand it or you have an opinion on it, what's even worse is if you have an opinion on it and it is like you haven't done at least 100 hours of research, you don't know what you're talking about. You're making a projection and a conclusion on a previous bias, and that's what a lot of the crypto people do about gold. And they don't even realize it. And they don't understand it. So it's time to bridge the gap, because Bitcoin as a digital gold is going to become more and more prevalent as the older folks pass along and the younger folks come up. But it doesn't replace gold. They have two different functions. So anyway, I don't know how active this is going to get middle of the day. I'll leave it on for a few more minutes. But anyway, don't ask me if you should still buy Bitcoin at 50,000. I've been telling you to do it for so long, between 5 and 11, and the thing is I just bought more because this is a huge breakout at 14,000. This is like when gold broke 1,400 last year. Game on. We knew that the previous high, all-time high, was going to be tested. I did. I thought that was very natural. Didn't mean that we didn't have pullbacks along the way, obviously, but that's what is next for Bitcoin. Now, here's what you guys, I would love to really, so first of all, Ken, with the monster resource, any target in mind, like what, in ounces? Who knows? I have no idea. We have to let the drill show us. There's massive potential. And, Dave Matheson will be the man to help put that together in terms of what he thinks it is. But there's no reason speculating until we drill more. If it grows and we hit a feeder zone, that's going to be enough, because people know that on this trend where this Carlin property is, on the Carlin trend, certain type of rocks exist in geology from a very long time ago, and they typically don't form puny little puny little gold tracings. So Ken and Gary, let me be very clear, okay? What are your top Bitcoin picks? I'm behind investing on Bitcoin. My top Bitcoin pick is Bitcoin. If you just want to buy stocks that are miners or whatever, I cannot stress this enough. You are being lazy and you are going to buy actual Bitcoin when it's much higher and it's much more widely adopted, because it's going to be used in so many different facets. You guys have no idea. It's just like when I find someone who I meet and, I talk about gold or they're warming up to it. And then I talk about the mining stocks and they're like, what's the top hot picks you have for the miners? I'm like, well, how much physical gold do you have exposure to? That could mean, actual physical bullion, but I would count, ETF exposure, whatever. And if they're like, I don't have any, I'm like, well, when you get gold and physical silver first, give me a call. Until then, I'm not giving you shit, because that is first things first. Bitcoin is first things first. You want to try to play the stocks that are the miners. What for? They're not as efficient. All they get is you have to add in the cost of running a business. So they get Bitcoin, the price increase helps their bottom line, but just the price increase in Bitcoin is better than the price of increase in Bitcoin with overhead. I don't get it. Like, do I own any of those? I actually have gotten out of most of it. I mean, I have like options on Riot blockchain that are up like 700%. And I sold some of that recently, and I literally sent the money to Coinbase to buy the Bitcoin. There are some interesting blockchain companies I like, but I'm not going to get into that. And we traded Hive as a tax loss deal, and it did really well. But I think that you really have to either spend some time on this, or you need to figure out how to buy crypto. Open an account, send money from your bank, link it like you do with your brokerage account, buy the crypto, sell the crypto, put it back into your Canadian dollar or US dollar, and send it back to your bank. And look at how easy it is. And send some Bitcoin to another wallet or somebody else who's got it, and realize what it is. It's not that complicated. In fact, it makes everything much more quick, and so much more cheap than the SWIFT system. If you don't do it now, it's just like when it was in the late 90s and somebody goes, what's your email address? I remember the first time somebody asked me that. I think it was in 99 or 2000. Email address. I was like, for geeks. But I came around and I was like, I probably should set one up. That's what's going to happen here on steroids. Okay. Dash, Gary, the problem with that, no, it's not going to follow Bitcoin. Why would it follow Bitcoin? They don't mine Bitcoin. They basically were a Dash node producer, and then they diversified into Cosmos, both of which I like. And theoretically, when Bitcoin goes up, the alternative smaller ones see a good run as well. But is there a direct correlation? Not necessarily. In addition to that, I believe they changed their business model. And I mean, let me look at it real quick. Dash. I really liked it before because of what they were stacking on their balance sheet with regard to, if you have Dash, you have Cosmos, and you're in a good position where you're developing that type of income from crypto. And you also have investments in other things that can 10, 20, 50x, which is kind of where they had some other exposure. Then you can look at these plays, but it's not for your Bitcoin bet. Just get that out of your head. I'm pulling it up now to see what the news was. I looked at one of their quarterlies and a release not long ago, and I just was turned off a little bit by the pivot they did. But let me look into it a little bit more. There is one small Canadian deal that I'm buying right now that I think looks good. I'm not telling anyone because after I talk to management, it will be, I've been buying, it's illiquid. So, and I've got to do more homework. But that is a situation that is leveraged because of technology interests and other things, not just, if you just want to buy a Bitcoin miner, which is what is correlated to Bitcoin specifically, again, just buy Bitcoin. Thomas, where did you get your knowledge from? Books, papers, asking since I'm a business engineer student and want to get up to speed on the need to know about gold, Bitcoin, et cetera. Good question. I became a stockbroker at the age of 20, right before my 21st birthday. And I dropped out of college because an opportunity came up. But before that, my family had nothing. We were poor. Nobody had any assets. Nobody ever talked about investing. It's more like, can we pay the phone bill and the rent? But I, because of coming from that scarcity and fear and embarrassment, I had a focus on making money. And in our senior year in economics class, they did this stock market picking contest. And it was the year that I kind of got my stuff together. It was right after the summer that my dad passed away. And I moved in the opposite direction, and from being a punk, bad student to like, let me see what I can do here to really catch up. And so I participated in economics when they did this game. I led a team that I have one of the clippings. I think it was maybe it was a 10 or 12 week deal. And I have the clipping from early on, and we had turned $100,000 into like 140. And I think we were in like fifth place or second place, but I think we ended up either winning it or second place, if I recall. Anyway, what that did is spark the interest. Then the idea was, call brokers, call some brokers and ask for their best ideas. They'll share it with you. Tell them you're a student. I did that. I connected with guys at Merrill Lynch, who I ended up interning for. Another firm, Piper Jaffray, there's a big producer there in Milwaukee that I learned a lot from, who I ended up meeting 20 years later in my career as he was trying to get me to get my clients into his funds. But in any event, I got the knowledge there. I kind of moved away from it for a year or two. And then when this opportunity came up, I basically, I became a broker. I became licensed. I had to learn a lot of different stuff, but all these things preceding it was basic. But then I learned on the job, and reading and absorbing information was a huge part of that. You have to spend time. And the thing that I try to do for members is like funnel that, weed it out. The problem these days is like, we have so much coming at us. Like, you can pull up election results right now. Go look. You have literally divisive Biden, Trump wins, is going to win for pages from different sources. It's like, we have to find the right information sources. And now I think I've spent so much time on that. There's always more to get, more to learn. But in any event, what I would say, depending on your knowledge, Thomas, do you own stocks? Have you invested? Do you have a basic knowledge? It sounds like you're young. I think what I would do is just start with like reading the Wall Street Journal every day. Number one. Number two, if you are looking at gold and learning about gold and Bitcoin, I would suggest that there are a couple of classics. If you're active in stocks and you want to learn how to trade, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator about Jesse Livermore is is my favorite classic. I would have to think about it. And I think it's a good question for me to think about in terms of like going back to the basics of how to learn in general about investing, but new. And then I can put some things together in this area. The issue I have is that, I usually only deal with, and even when I was an advisor, sophisticated investors. I never tried to get people to do risky stuff unless they had done it before on their own and understood it. But let me tell you, on crypto, on Bitcoin, if you really want to learn from the ground up, there are 2 books that I recommended to an elite member recently who's starting to like go down the rabbit hole. And these really helped me. I think that the first one you want to look at is, this is the order I read them in. It's called Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper. It's kind of a history of all this, really good story, but it breaks it down in a way that you can chew on it and understand it. And then the big one is the Bitcoin Standard. And that one is the decentralized alternative to central banking. Very relevant and very good. It's by Saifedean Ammous. Those 2, I think, are very good. Now, if you really want to get into understanding the system we live in, the fiat system, the Federal Reserve, the central banking system, which really, trust me, that drives all this stuff. It's not politics. The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's a big book, but it is very valuable. And that's by a gentleman that I tried to get speak. I forgot his name. He's G. Edward Griffin, yeah. So that one is really interesting, and that will help build the foundation. And I wouldn't, I would take it slow and, start to get that information, and then, you'll learn if you're hungry. These are just a start. Start with those, and then, you'll start to evolve. But it takes time. It takes time, and let's see, Gary, Tom, Ramon. Hey, what's up, Ramon? I'm going to get back to you on SSV, CCW, Cardano. Get back to you on that. Mention Medallion. Hold on. My gold coin dealer asked me if I was interested in Bitcoin after it moved from $1 to $4. Really? Did you? So it's funny because that's crazy. I mean, I learned about Bitcoin, I want to say, first in like 2010, 2011. I noticed it. It came back to my attention. I don't remember what the prices were, but they were low. And then I had, friends asking me about it by 2013. And every time, first of all, I just didn't take it seriously. But then when I looked at it, I was like, I might want to get some exposure, but I didn't know how to buy it. And it was like, I'm not a tech geek. There was not even these exchanges set up except for one, Mt. Gox, which got most of its Bitcoin hacked and stolen. But, the on-ramps weren't there. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this stuff. I got to set up a miner and this and that, a wallet. I just said it's too much. But, that's where it was worth doing the homework. It's not that complicated. You just had to figure it out. And it's the same case today for people. Even though it's much easier, we're not even close to how accessible it will be. It will be as simple as hitting a button on ordering food at the restaurant or buying and selling one of your stocks. So we are nowhere near where this is, the adoption it's going to get. So I'm still buying it. You cannot underestimate where this is going if it's going to work. But yeah, that's it was not easy to really get it very quickly unless you were like in the community and but yeah. And then how many people that bought it at 4 or 2 held it even to 100. That's another part of it. Asset classes, Chris, gold, silver, BTC that you see as a buy right now. I'm going to get back to that one. How do I win an election? What's up, Donnie boy? Looks like, I don't know, what's the deal right now? I thought you pulled it out, but the last I looked, looks like your boy Sleepy Joe. It's not over yet. Let's see what happens here. But I couldn't tell you, Donnie. Go back to business. Politics is dirty, and you already know that. So anyway, either way, you're in good shape. Do you have any comments on Sakaman? Get back to that. Hey, Josh, curious thoughts on Bravada and Falcon. We should thought they might double or triple. Is that based on earnings or something else? We'll get to that. Thanks for the great answer. We'll certainly give them a look. I still have 2 years left, but I've already had courses on macro and monetary economics and really find the financial markets interesting. Good. I mean, that's the basis, but you're going to get better knowledge and information from sources outside of school. That's good for laying the groundwork. I remember zero, or maybe not. I remember what micro versus macroeconomics is, but what I learned in college in finance and econ classes that I took before I left, no clue. You got to get involved, start putting money to work, and use some of these best sources that know what they're doing and make money. And it's all out there. People talk about white privilege, but anybody alive right now has privilege because we're in the information age. It has brought this to everyone. You can get information from Harvard level educated people on specific topics that you would have had to go to Harvard for before. And it's all there. It's all there if you want to look. You need a phone and you need an internet connection. But I don't give a shit what color you are. The information age is big. So let me go back to some of these. And I'm going to fire these off pretty quick, guys, because I am doing a special series. Those of you that are premium know this, where I'm going to give more colored updates on chunks of companies and then release those. And pretty much all the ones that we had mentioned here are on the top of the list, except for Sakaman. Let me look. I played this before. I think maybe that's maybe why you asked, but I think it's been doing great, right? I can't even pull this thing up. 17 cents. Yeah, no comment because I haven't looked at it. I'll take another peek. I don't know what your thoughts are. Yori, do you like it? Should I look at it? Are you long it from when I mentioned it before and got in it? Because we've flipped that stock. But I was interested back then in their discovery, and I'll take another look. The issue I have is that obviously I want to keep my finger on the pulse of juniors that are doing things and could do big things. The fact is, I miss a chunk of them because there's only so much you can focus on. I had somebody talking to me about pure gold today, and I'm like, yeah, I hear about it everywhere. I just never zeroed in on it. And I know it's a great deal and company, and people have made a lot of money. Going up, Bravada Falcon, Josh, because of the end of your question, I'm going to address this, but the fundamental part of the stories I will get into on the video updates, but might double or triple by year's end. Is that based on earnings or something else? So very, very clearly, you need to understand that exploration companies that are looking for miners that are looking for economic deposits do nothing but suck money. They lose money constantly. That's the business model. You spend money, you find an asset and an ore body that grows, that either you can eventually get financed and take into production and become a producer, which would theoretically, hopefully, create revenues and or earnings. None of these are earnings plays, not even close. It's about value with the assets. It's about the environment in gold. They're trading like gold's still $1,000 and gold's at 1,900. These companies are going to be targets for takeovers as this market matures from the producers who are printing money now and will continue to have robust cash flow and earnings, which I think is why Warren Buffett took a stake in Barrick, which was really interesting because he's a cash flow guy. But they haven't done any exploration, and it's going to go down the chain. So the double or triple, I don't remember exactly when I said that or at what price, but they still could. It'll be based on a couple things. One is with Bravada, it's just so undervalued, and now they're drilling Wind Mountain and looking for the feeder zone. If they touch that, it's gone. But it's already so cheap. And then the Highland drill results will start coming out soon too. That was run by Oceana. Anything good there, boom. But really, what it comes down to is when I focus on the value and start to just make more people aware of it, the stock's going to explode. And will I do that tomorrow? I don't know. Probably not. But I will do it by the end of the year and actually by the end of November. So you want to buy the ones that I own and we own big positions in that are down or lethargic or just lulling people to sleep, because I'm not in this for a quick buck. Even like the double or triple by the end of the year, that I make those bold comments from time to time, and some of them don't happen in that time frame. Some of them don't happen. Some of them happen fast and exceed it. And I think that the batting average I have is good with that type of stuff. But that is more for me to get you guys to buy some now, because I know you're going to do well and everybody's going to want to buy it after it starts ripping. And if I'm doing my job as sort of like a fiduciary person, so to speak, in spirit, I'm not a financial advisor, it's really important to try to get more people to do things at the right time. And now's the time to be buying these stocks. Falcon's starting up a drill program at the Sunny Boy Spitfire, super high grade, that could drive it, but they're cheap too. I mean, it's just that the assets in the gold assets, like with Bravada that they have in Nevada, just watch. Stock's going so much higher. But the short-term stuff is really, you can make some money, and maybe just if you're positioned right, you have a good amount of it, and you bought it at 10 to 15 cents, and it goes to 30, and you can sell a third to a half and take your principal out and move that elsewhere. But that's just the start. This gold bull market is going to turn some of these penny stocks into valuations that you're going to say, holy shit, I wish I would have held that one. And I use the example of the Bravadas types because it's got all the fingerprints of it. I don't say this because it sounds promotional and ridiculous, but my actual belief is, and this is going to be based on the market cycle, the psychology of the way that investors pile into things that are going up and the phases in which that occurs, and the third phase being the blow off top phase. And this is the beginning of what I believe that is. And because the gold miners and gold and silver and everything else are so under-owned, once they start going, because you're dealing with the foundation of the financial system, including Bitcoin, this is the case. I was around for the internet boom. This could be easily just as big. What does that mean? That means that even if we have a month or two of that environment, you could see Bravada already at $20 a share, and then it's like going up $5 to $10 a week. Seriously, that's going to be based on the environment. The other part of value is that they're going to continue to build the assets, and then they monetize them. They sell them off, whatever, many ways. But these are cash drains on exploration companies. You have to realize that these are not earnings. The earnings drivers are the producers we have in the model portfolio, which are many. The producers are going to be driven by earnings and also the environment. What else? Real quick, I'm going to go back to Ramon Cardano. How much Bitcoin do you own, Ramon? You said nothing, right? I saw a comment. What the fuck are you worried about Cardano for? Go get yourself a meaningful amount of Bitcoin and start doing your homework. Bitcoin is the key because, and it made people think, oh, you can just, there's other ones that are going to come around and knock it off. It's not going to happen for a while. Bitcoin is the dominant piece in the crypto sphere. It's the one currency and coin that you can send anywhere and buy any other coin with. It is set up as money. What people think about all these, the tokens that are out there now, it's probably over 10,000. This is up from 1,000 at the highs in late 17. There's maybe a handful that are trying to be money. There's privacy elements with Monero and Zcash, but things like Ethereum, they're utility functions for what they offer. Platform it's a specific business, and they're not in competition. So there's only a few that are really going to possibly take over that. And I mean, Bitcoin Cash spun out, Bitcoin SV. I own a little bit of those just in case, but where is all the big money going to buy first? Where do they go first? The money's going into Bitcoin. And so that's a first and foremost. I don't own Cardano. I own probably 45 different tokens. I just have not been compelled to buy it. It's a good project, and I think it'll do well. But you also have to look at this from the standpoint that a lot of the crypto people don't, which is the market cap. That thing's like a top 12, 15 market cap. They have a lot of good things going on. And I think it will do well. I don't own Tron. I don't own Cardano. I own stuff that I think is either the core nuts and bolts of the internet, Ethereum 2.0 coming up, or situations that are still, the biggest drivers are ahead of them, and that's not caught on by the market yet. But I just would really encourage you, before you guys start kicking around and looking at crypto or blockchain stocks in the market, or you're looking at other tokens, don't waste your time before you buy Bitcoin. It's like, why take that angle? It's usually because of not having a true winning mentality. And I mean that in the sense that when I say that, like, when people want to, this isn't the case with Cardano. Like, if you're looking to buy other cryptos, I think it's great to do your research and learn because it's all relevant, right? But in terms of owning and investing, it's a first things first thing. Second thing would be Ethereum, in my opinion, if you're going to buy something. Those are the two kind of must owns. And, I have 7 to 10x the Bitcoin I have of Ethereum, but Ethereum is a big position. And when I get the stock people trying to buy the stock, you're just lazy. You are lazy and you don't want to learn and open an account. So, or you're not taking this seriously. You're looking for a quick buck trade, and you aren't realizing that this is truly the opportunity to become filthy rich. And the wealth transfer that people have been talking about for a while, we're in the middle of it. We're in the start to the middle of it. And Bitcoin is going to be a big part of that. So is gold. As the fiat currency system collapses under the crazy amount of debt the world has, and I'm not predicting that's going to happen tomorrow. Timing is really hard on that, but more and more people are waking up. Anyway, that's my message, guys. Quit looking for an angle. First things first. Then the biggest concern I have, though, is what I did, which is like in 2016 when I came out with the first purchase of Bitcoin at 450 and I alerted the gold investment letter. I didn't have any real money in there. And then it went up and I was like, I made 5x, flipped it. But it was nothing. And we have this learning curve. So people come and, it takes time to learn this stuff, right? So my biggest concern is that, okay, you're in and you buy some, but is it meaningful? Is it a meaningful amount? Is it a committed investment? Because you don't want to be trading this shit if you don't own a lot. You need to get it where you cannot touch it. And if it's a stock that's in your stock portfolio that you trade all the time, it's not gonna happen. My 2 cents. Real quick, I'm gonna go through just a couple of these other situations. I saw something on CCW. SSB CCW, just hold on, going higher. Silver's going higher, and that's gonna be the driver. Medallion, yes, it's one of my recommendations. It's one of our big holdings. It's one that I love. Movement in the share price. We had a shitload of movement in the share price. Between June and mid-September, when it went up 4x, now it's retraced, and this is the buying opportunity. Rare earths are different, so I think that Medallion specifically, though, has some very, very good drivers. What's going to drive it? They've got some big stuff cooking, and when it's released, boom, and or when I hone in more on that and after that to really have people understand what it is that is happening and going to happen. Problem with this deal for years, chicken and the egg. Can we get the money to build a plant? Can we build a plant, and get the money? It was a mess. Now they've got the back. And we've had clues in the press releases, and they'll reveal more of that in due time. Take a look at Zuckerman. Right. Asset classes that I see as a buy right now, Chris. I like. I've got my money. I've been putting more money into a friend of mine's value-focused fund because value has been really out of favor for so long with this passive investing ETF bubble that we're in. With people just owning the S&P and most of that being driven by 4 tech stocks. A lot of the value plays have been neglected, and these are specific situations. In this case, a lot of them are healthcare, but he plays in different areas. He was my college roommate. He ran $5 billion for Janus, over $5 billion, I think, for Invesco too. He's got great experience. He's an amazing stock picker. I like putting money into that, even though it does have stock market downside. There's value there, and much value in some of these names. Some of them still are popping, whether or not it's a value market or not. But I like value in certain situations. The big thing I like is related to crypto in a way, but it's really about I get 9% interest on the dollar. 8 to 12, really. I like that. I get interest on my Bitcoin. I get interest on my Ethereum. 5%? People don't know about this. I'm going to release a video that I only put out to elites very shortly. And you're going to start to wake up about this sphere. And if you start to learn about it, oh my God, who is not going to have a dollar? It's really the USDC or T, Tether. These are the stable coins in crypto. You convert from USD, but it's a dollar. It's backed by a dollar. So I'm not going to get into it right now. I love that. I love cash, a cash piece, even without the interest, US dollar just for cushion and for opportunities. And I think that position should be pretty decent, especially as you make more money on the speculative investments. What I do is I start to, in pieces, shave that and move it into more more safe and less volatile areas and or things I can't touch that are non-correlated. But I mean, when you talk about gold, silver, Bitcoin, mining stocks, cryptocurrencies, I'm trying to figure out my exposure right now going into year end. But I have 3/4 of every penny I own in those themes. That's where I see the upside. That's where I see the value. And then, good amount of cash. And where's the rest of it? I mean, stuff like, the value fund. And I like a lot of special situations that are not, that I don't talk about, that are technology based. I do have a good amount of money in venture capital deals, but mostly tech, so I don't bring it up at the gold investment letter. And those are one-by-one situations. Anyway, that's about it for that comment right now. Wait for that. Okay. Muck's last quarter thoughts, short interest views, what's the game? Michael, their quarter was brutal. I mean, I was actually, the Q2 was like, So it's taking longer to stabilize and taking longer than Rob thought, that I thought, to stabilize and then start to turn around the operations. But we're very close. I think we have seen the bottom in terms of the operations. Now, if there's still a candidate as a tax loss sale because it's down when a lot of other things are up, we might get a bit more of a bargain if we have any sort of a pause or pull back further in the miners later this month in early December due to that. And I would just get crazy and load the boat. The risk, though, is that when this market starts to turn and then they start to show this in the quarterlies and that they have a handle on it and that they're not draining any money and the one-off spends are done, you're going to start to see the stock go up. And noted on the short position, they're going to get their balls squeezed off. I just don't know if it's going to be this quarter, next quarter, sometime next year, and I don't care. I trust Rob McEwen. It's a long-term investment. When it goes down, I buy more. If it rips like it did when we were buying it in the 50s and went up almost 3x in 2 months, we sold a little bit. And I have very little risk. So I'm sticking with it. I feel like the Los Azules asset they have in Argentina is worth more than the entire company. And Rob, with his name on the door, just simply won't let this thing fall off. It's not going to happen. He is a billionaire. He has real money and resources, and he owns 23-4% of the company, and he takes $1 a year salary. All of it is worth waiting, even if it takes a couple of few extra quarters, which it has, for them to stabilize. But that's when you buy, right? Because once it's all free and clear and the shorts start to cover, because of that, you're going to pay way up. So I'm very confident in Bucks. Last one, guys, and I got to bounce. Think about selling Sona and or Trace if you're putting it into the miners. So look, Josh, are you premium? I think you are. We sold 2/3 of Sona. I mean, the first alert went out at $9 to sell 1/4 to 1/3. The second one went out around 14. Canadian, bought a little bit of it back around 10 and so forth, 6, 8, and 7, but I still have a huge profit in Sona. And the last of it that I still have, I couldn't give a shit about it. And I think that it can come back in a big way, but you have to be realistic in that um, this stiff arm by the FDA and a lot of these delays have not been good. Um, and so yeah, I just with Sona, like it's a coin toss in terms of the shorter term. I think long term it'll be good, but I don't know. We had a stock go from 60 cents to $15 in like 10 weeks. Okay. I'm stamping that a success. Where you got on the train, whatever. I was not telling people to buy this thing. Where was it in August? If you got the message that we were taking some off, this might have been after we took some off and it was on the pullback, which is fine. Yeah, maybe that was the case. But that was for a trade, and we ended up trading the first one from 8 to 12 in like days, stacking on those gains. I mean, I don't know I still own, a third of my Sona position, but the stock that I sold at those intervals that I alerted, I've made even just, right off the whole third. I mean, it's an enormous return, enormous. So let's see. But TradeSafe, also cheap. And why, the question is, do you have any cash? Do you have any money? Do you have any resources? Or are you constrained and then you have to choose like an either or? In general, I do not like to make those decisions, even if I need money, when this fundamental investment theses are still there. I mean, COVID's not going away. There's a lot of other applications for TradeSafe, and they're building a real business. And Sona has a lot of upside with their gold nanorod technology and a bunch of applications. So when you get a hatchet job like this, and the miners, have come down, but they're still up. I don't necessarily like to do that. Certainly not with a whole position. And if you have money, why, it's not an either or. If you don't, then it really comes down to probably for me, it would be like, do you need a tax loss? Then it would be valid. But the fundamental part of it, I try to avoid doing stuff like that at sort of extremes. But do I think that gold and silver miners are more likely to go higher than I do with Sona and TradeSafe in the next, 3 to 6 to 9 to 12 months? Yes. So, you get to make that choice. Mediatrix was a fraud. It was the first fraud I ever got involved in my career, unfortunately. And it sucks, but I like those guys, and I'm not going to get into too much here. I don't even know where the litigation stands. I need to take a look at it, but they were charged, I think it was by the SEC. A bunch of us were on like an email chain as it went through the process. There was hope that, they were saying they still had the money, but looks like it was a scam because they owned the clearing firm that they were doing the trades through. And so yeah, they were falsifying records, and those returns weren't real. And so there might be an update to that, but I've written it off. We lost our money. Some people are gonna get, like, I don't know what the current estimate is, but there's cash there, so you get 25, 30, 50, 30%. I don't know what the number is going to be, but it was unfortunate. I have not been involved with a structure like that or a fund or anything that I got into and recommended to other people to look at it, that ended up being a fraud. Now, in the stock side, getting brought in and sucked in by a promoter, which is really just a fraud when they're lying, that's happened to me. But this type of thing, it's disappointing because, I should say I know better, but I also knew there was a lot of risk, and I framed it that way, because they didn't have fully audited numbers. And I said, if it seems too good to be true, it could be. So you don't want to do something where you're betting the ranch. You have to be appropriate. And I don't understand algorithmic quant currency market trading. And so yeah, that was a bummer. Okay, last one. T. Biggums. I love the profile pic there. How mixed electrical money impact short-term metal prices in your opinion? Did you watch the video? You can actually look at in our section, GIL important update. I think it was like October 22nd, where I talked about this. The bottom line, I don't give a shit. It's going to be volatile. That's what I said. It's probably going to be volatile. But I don't care about the short-term whipsaw action. The mixed results, any result, still our investment thesis for owning gold and silver and Bitcoin and things outside of the currency debasement race and fiat currency printing press is intact either way. And if you guys that are smaller investors, if you want to change your life and make big money, quit thinking so freaking short term. You can trade. I love to trade. But the money that's changing my life already now, it's from stocks that I bought in 16, 17, maybe took a little bit off. They came all the way back down, and I just kept chipping away and buying it slowly the whole time, investing in the private placements in the open market, and being in a position where I didn't have to puke that stuff out because my lifestyle was too expensive. And I stuck with them. And when you have a situation that goes up, let's just say 10x, and it takes 5 years, so what? Some of our stuff has done more than that in 6 months, but I don't count on that. I just know when I see the drivers and the value and the investment proposition, and I let the results, the outcome in terms of timing, reveal itself. But sometimes they take time. But if you stick with stuff and sit and then take modest action instead of chasing shorter term gains, at least as a core part of your philosophy, that's where you make big money. I mean, I look at the trading I do and it's profitable. It's kind of fun, but I mean, there are a couple of stocks I've made, trust me, I've been broke twice as an adult. I grew up broke. I've had plenty of times when I needed to just beg and pillage to even pay my rent as a man in his 30s. But there are some stocks I'm making millions of dollars on that it's because of the delays and me sticking with the plan and taking some actions appropriately, accumulation. You hear me talk about this a lot. It's also why I'm so grateful that Bitcoin has taken this long after the bubble popped. It gave us time. And so steady buys every week, every month. That's what I had, automatic. Modest, it adds up. And then when I'd have a windfall or it would go down a lot, chunk of cash. And Bitcoin, my Bitcoin position, I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's probably taking me into the, well into the 8 figures net worth level. And and the gold stuff too. I mean, that's where I have most of my exposure in the miners. But that's because also I have a strategy in terms of removing my principal risk in a reasonable return profile. Call it sell a third at a triple. With crypto and Bitcoin, I don't know. I'm not that motivated. I'm going to take some off right under 20,000 because that's going to be a big resistance point. But I'm just so convinced it's going so much higher. I'm not in a rush. I'm not worried about it. And same thing with gold. Same thing with silver. I'm more looking like if there's pullbacks, if there's opportunities, I'm deploying capital into those areas, and I've been doing it aggressively up to this morning. So I just would encourage you guys that are in this game. It's not an easy thing. I mean, you can make money temporarily for a while if you go on a streak or whatever, but the market will eat your lunch if you do not have a long-term view, discipline, a strategy, selling when things are down, buying when they're up. The contrary action part that I talk about a lot, putting it into practice is not easy. For example, 1911 gold, 28 cents to $1. I sold the third at 92 cents. Did I give a shit that it went from 92 to $1 the next day? Hell no. I have no risk in this stock. And when it was there, it was looking like it was going to 2. And, when they're down, they look like they're going to 0. Can you take actions like that? Even if it's not the whole action, you don't blow your wad all at once, but doing that, just in general, just doing that, if you can teach yourself and take action that is contrary to how you feel, even if it's a portion, that I think is actually the most critical factor in making a lot of money in these speculative areas and volatile markets and the world we live in. So that's it, guys. I enjoyed this. It went an hour. I wasn't planning on that. I think I'm late for a couple things, but hope you enjoyed it. Maybe I'll share it with the group. Appreciate the questions. We'll be in touch, and buy some frickin' Bitcoin and gold and silver if you don't own physical. These are things, by the way, the reason I'm so passionate about it is because, this is our defense of not only surviving, but certainly for thriving. These are the core elements. People do not get it, what is going on. I am not a doom and gloomer, and you know that. I don't predict dire end of the world stuff to get you people to buy gold. I'm not talking about that. It doesn't even matter in terms of the driver, but we have a real problem. People have a real problem with a combination of things. And the decline in the value over time of fiat currencies, debasement, including the US dollar, is certain. And you protect yourself with these type of assets. And we want to do that. That's why I am trying to be very vocal now, because when gold's 3,000 and people are saying, should I buy gold? And Bitcoin's 60,000, should I still buy Bitcoin? I'm going to be like, did you hear me before? The risk reward, should you still buy it? Probably, but if you don't own any, but the prediction ability and the reward from here it's nowhere near where it was. And I still think it's on the table as buys, and definitely the miners on this pullback. I'm buying a lot of stocks, and we'll see. I think they're going to rip. I think gold's going to rip, silver's going to rip by the end of the year, new highs, certainly within the first quarter of 2021. And I think minimally we're looking at 2,500 in gold, and silver's going to do very well. And the mining stocks are going to kick into another gear. And you can't look at today's price action and liquidity. You have to think about tomorrow's in that environment and get ahead of the curve. Anyway, have a good day.